Yes people, how are we today? Hope you're all well and fighting the good fight. Today's video is my review of the console edition of Mordhau. I'll be reviewing the PS5 version. I wanted to give a realistic and honest review, so I've spent the last week since Mordhau's launch putting the game through its paces and discovering its shortcomings. Hopefully this video will give more insight into the console port so you can make a well-informed decision on whether or not to purchase this title. So without further ado, let's get into it. What is Mordhau? Mordhau is a multiplayer medieval hack-and-slash fighting game developed by the independent Slovenian studio Triturnion. Mordhau is their most successful title to date and made its release on PC 4 years ago after being partially financed through a Kickstarter campaign in 2017, raising nearly $300,000. Mordhau features large-scale medieval battles, pitting 64 players against one another, 32 vs 32 all-out warfare, where you will siege castles through a number of team-based objectives in both first and third person. There is one other game on console in this genre that has effectively set a new standard that even Mordhau struggles to replicate. That game is Chivalry 2. Chiv 2 came out 2 years after Mordhau's release on PC, so Mordhau would always fall short of that Hollywood spectacle Chivalry 2 offers. This is a 4-year-old game that's finally been ported to console, maybe a couple years too late in my opinion. Now, if we received new maps, modes, features since that original PC launch, maybe things would be more palatable with a reasonably high price tag, but we literally got a 4-year-old port with no new features implemented for console. This is unfortunate. The situation has not been helped by the lack of effort in marketing. Literally, no one knows this game is even on console. At absolutely no point have Triturnion spent a dime on marketing their game towards console players. There was no beta, there's no demo, and little to no information regarding the console port specifically. Folk aren't sure whether or not to invest in a game with a high price point and little to no details surrounding the console port. Even if they are fans of the genre, I'm seeing people hold off on a purchase because Chivalry 2 has more to offer and was given practically for free on the Xbox Game Pass and PS Plus. If you own Chivalry 2 already, what makes Mordhau worth the purchase? Let's have a look at what the game offers console gamers. In Mordhau, players engage in hand-to-hand combat with all manner of medieval weapons one comes to expect from the time period, from swords, axes and spears, all the way to flutes, smoke bombs, rocks and frying pans. And similar to Chivalry, if you equip the toolbox, this effectively puts you as an engineer, giving potential to build barricades, ballistas, or even rebuild broken doors. Combat is based around attack and counter until one of you either runs out of stamina or makes a mistake. Combat is largely based on a rock, paper, scissors type mechanic. Feinting beats parrying, parrying beats chambering, chambering beats feinting. The very emphasis is to match your opponent's attacks. If you wish to block, you must block to the correct side the swing came from. Chambering is when you match your opponent's attacks at the last second before their weapon makes contact. You will see sparks and a notification to mark a successful chamber. Parrying, chambering, and feinting all drain stamina based on the weight of your respective weapons, with heavier weapons costing more stamina to block, especially if the blocking weapon is light. So while a heavy and slow weapon like the maul might be easy to parry, if you trade parries for too long, you can get disarmed. Ripostes can be performed off of a parry, which are faster attacks with no wind-up, useful for fighting groups. You will feel all of this immediately if you've come over from Chivalry. That game allows you to effectively hold block indefinitely, presenting opportunities to turtle behind your shield, or just easily block all manner of attacks thrown in your direction. This is the casual approach that has been replaced with Mordhau's intuitive rock, paper, scissors format. You can only hold block for a second, and in doing so, negatively impact your stamina and can leave you open to attack. There's way less hero moments here, where you jump into a crowd, blocking and riposting everything regardless of angle. Mordhau keeps you honest in your approaches, as fighting more than 2 people at once can be incredibly unforgiving, unless you've got some serious skill and reflexes. This is where the skill gap comes in. There's a far greater skill ceiling in Mordhau that won't be for everyone and separates the casual from the competitive player. Chivalry 2 implements a system where you actually swing your weapons using the analog sticks themselves to dictate where and how you swing. Mordhau's system is pressing the right trigger to strike and selecting which side with a simple push of the stick. Personally, I really enjoy Mordhau's realistic approach and rock, paper, scissors format. When you successfully dispatch your foe, you get a real rewarding feeling knowing you beat them with real swordsmanship. This difference in combat provides a healthy alternative for fans of the genre. The game offers a vital tutorial to learn the various systems and mechanics, which is both helpful and funny.
Are you ready for the hands test? Here we go. Hands! Splendid shot. Don't worry, Hans will be just fine. He's at worse.
Weapons actually deal different damage to different body parts with different effectiveness against armor. For instance, the Executioner's Greatsword instantly kills any unarmored target, and thrown axes instantly kill unarmored heads. But if they've got armor on, think again. Many weapons also feature a second mode, or can be thrown. For example, the Greatsword can be half-sworded, for better stabbing at the cost of slashing. The longsword can be held in Mordhau grip mode, for the better armor killing and penetration at the cost of reach. You can quickly switch to these modes by pressing triangle or Y if you're on Xbox. It's a shame only specific weapons can be thrown in this mode though, like the War Axe. Chivalry 2 made it possible to launch literally everything at your opponent in a pinch, and spoilt us with accessibility. Sadly, Mordhau doesn't condone the throwing of shit at people. Chivalry is king in this department. Mordhau is all about the art form, and it's this that usually pushes people to quit due to its competitive nature. If you're not willing to learn from your deaths, you will find yourself ice skating uphill and getting increasingly frustrated. The key to success, as always, is practice. Do not be afraid of failure, for it is your best teacher. No one has ever learned to ride a bike by reading about it. You've got to get stuck in with an open mind. If you enjoy this genre and swinging wildly after a long day of work, Mordhau is probably not for you. Every engagement requires thought and consideration to be successful. But if you're up to the challenge and need an alternative to Chivalry's approach, Mordhau is definitely a different game. To complement this fighting system, you're given a loadout. Loadouts are comprised of 48 points, with which you can spend on gear as you see fit, so there's an emphasis on creating builds that greatly change the way you play. Amongst the armor and weapons that all have different values, there's a perk system to truly create a unique build. There's some real sweet perks here that presents opportunity and encourages experimentation. For example, Fury and Bloodlust instantly regenerate your health and stamina upon a kill, which can be extremely useful. Fancy running around as a dwarf, attacking from people's blind spots? Want to eliminate 90% of full damage? Have 80% fire resistance? Or be a sneaky little rat with increased crouch movement speed and footstep volume reduced by 75%? Then it's all here to experiment with in any way you see fit. This system works extremely well and provides a lot of replayability, discovering new builds and combinations to enjoy on the battlefield. This level of customization is extended into the character itself. The opportunity to roleplay in Mordhau humbles its competitors, as the sheer volume of customization on offer is impressive by the genre standards set by the original Chivalry. Even Chivalry 2 can't boast this much customization, despite releasing 2 years later. In Mordhau, you can actually custom craft your warrior like you would in a good RPG or wrestling game. You can alter bone structure and hand sculpt your desired face, along with body type, age, hair, and voice. Speaking of which, the voices here are amazing.
Like what that fool did in there. No! Loser in life!
Only your mommy could love a face like that!
Stupid!
Shit, take off, will you? Come on here, take that!
You with
You
left
don't scare me, you won't help me! Only your mommy could love a face like
Shut
that!
While Chivalry 2 offers the Monty Python parody's pompous nature, Mordhau goes full-blown adult themed, with the ability to truly disrespect your opponents with harsh language and hilarious lines of ridicule, enough to trigger a response from any self-righteous knight. Mordhau even has a pitch adjuster, so you can custom alter your voice to get the desired outcome. This provides some great laughs.
I didn't even feel that.
There's a total of 14 maps in the game, with a couple more being alternate versions of existing maps. Not all are playable in all modes though, so depending on your chosen mode, you may only have 4 or 5 choices to select from. This is a reasonable amount of variety here, and the maps are surprisingly big in some cases. I was always getting lost exploring the many castle rooms in Victoria on launch day. I was genuinely surprised at the scale on offer here. As for more maps moving forwards, I'm unsure if Triturnian have any plans for more content. The modes you'll be playing on these maps are Deathmatch, which is a free-for-all mode, Team Deathmatch, Skirmish, which is basically Last Team Standing, Sword Game, which is a play upon Call of Duty's gun game. Here, you have to get a kill with the spawn weapon to spawn the next weapon. The first player to get a kill with all weapons is victorious. Invasion. This is your trademark team objective game mode you'll be familiar with if you're a Chivalry player. One team defends, one attacks a series of objectives, like pushing the battering ram, capturing areas, etc. You get the idea. Frontline. to 48 players form into 2 teams and start with 1,000 points. You fight it out whilst capturing territory to be victorious. This is basically medieval equivalent of Battlefield's Conquest mode. And the last mode is Horde mode. Here, you form a team of 6 and must protect the AI noble from waves and waves of AI bots that get increasingly more difficult with greater numbers and stronger units. For example, you'll begin fighting rock-thrown peasants, but you'll soon be fighting waves of armoured knights or larger, tougher elites that can literally one-shot you. Players will start with no weapons or armour, and your health will not regenerate normally. To regenerate your health and earn weapons, the players must defeat the enemies and survive the round. Defeating an enemy will award the player a quarter of their health and currency. Completing a wave will also refill your health and award currency. This currency is used to purchase weapons and armour littered around the map. The more knowledge you have of these maps and item locations, the better you will fare, as this mode can get pretty damn crazy. Along with the weapons and armours is a skill tree with varying branches of perks that greatly improve your attack damage, speed and many other cool things, like the lower your health is, the more damage you do. These can all be leveled up multiple times and stack, and you can feel pretty damn godly if you can survive long enough to activate them. There's 9 of the 14 in-game maps that Horde mode is playable on, so there's enough variety here for a great alternative game mode to your traditional PvP. It's a medieval Horde mode, and it's a lot of fun when you get into it. I can imagine with a full group of 6 friends here, there's a lot of fun to be had. You can also enjoy all of Mordhau's game modes against bots in local play if you're sick of humans and want to privately practice your craft. All in all, I think there's a fair and reasonable amount of content here to keep you entertained, even more so if you truly love this medieval genre. I'm not gonna lie though, after playing so much Chivalry 2 the last couple of years, I can't help but feel there should be more from a 4-year-old game. There's no 3v3, you can't 1v1 in private duels or duel matchmaking, which for a medieval game is a fail as far as I'm concerned. 1v1 duels should be the cornerstone of any medieval fighting game such as this, when it takes its melee mechanics so seriously. Which brings us to the game's performance, stability, graphics and online functionality. Game performance and stability are fine from my experience. There were some freezes in the first 48 hours of launch, but unlike Torn Banner and Chivalry, this was acknowledged to players immediately on the game's home screen and subsequently addressed and fixed 24 hours later. This is a far cry from console Chivalry, where we're kept in the dark and have to wait literally months for anything to be fixed. If Tritonian continues this transparency and proactive nature towards issues, they deserve recognition. The graphics are nice and clean. This is a 4-year-old game that runs in the Unreal Engine 4, but on a good monitor, Mordhau console still holds up to today's standard with good textures and lighting. The sound design is fine, especially the sounds of people gargling their own blood after you've opened their windpipe. The sword sound effects, when the 2 blades collide, doesn't have the meaty clangs of Chivalry, but more delicate sounds. It serves its purpose though, but Chivalry's sound design is far superior in my opinion. As for online functionality, this is where the game is hit and miss. Mordhau is indeed cross-play enabled, but only with consoles. This is in fact a huge positive in my opinion, as we finally get to enjoy balanced lobbies with everyone on the same hardware, no keyboard and mouse manipulation, no cheaters. There's no fighting PC players who literally play at more than double our frame rates with far greater hit detection. All this is replaced by honest console-to-console gameplay, so if you're sick to death of facing unfair situations, maybe Mordhau is what you've been looking for. We can even button map our controls, standard for almost any game, but Chivalry has no such option, creating an even bigger divide between PC and console. Thankfully, Mordhau has this feature and it's greatly appreciated. The downside is, strangely, we cannot team chat in any capacity in-game. For a multiplayer-focused game, this is not cool. Not everyone uses Discord, so for a lot of people, there simply is no ability to communicate other than through emotes. While this is okay for objective-based sieges, for Horde mode, it's not exactly ideal. Now, the most concerning aspect of Mordhau is the playbase, and the fact there isn't one. Only a week into the game's release, and I'm frequently encountering empty lobbies, even at modest times in the evening. On European servers, this is what you will see in the server browser. A vacuum of emptiness. At a peak time during the week, there was literally only 96 people in the whole of Europe online playing Mordhau, and I was one of those people, if the server browser is correct. This is further confirmed in general matchmaking. You will frequently find yourself in lobbies with no more than 10 people that are actually meant for 64. Now, why is this? If I had to take a guess, it's down to a number of factors. Firstly, this is a 4-year-old PC port of a game in a niche genre that has been released with practically zero marketing at a steep price tag compared to its PC counterpart that actually has more features and mod support. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of folk hesitant to part with that much cash for what's on offer here when virtually everyone already has access to Chivalry 2. I'm sure in order to keep the game alive, its future lies on a Game Pass launch and PS Plus release to boost the player base. If their intention is to make it cross-play with PC, then that will likely be the nail in the coffin for the console player base. A competitive game like Mordhau deserves balance. Anything other than console-to-console crossplay will disrupt and disable any hope of a balanced experience. Those console numbers would gradually diminish until the game is dead on these platforms. But that's just my opinion. Time will tell. Now for my closing thoughts. Is Mordhau a good game? Yes, it is. And if you are specifically interested in this genre, you will get a lot of enjoyment out of the game. There's enough modes, maps, customization, and build potential for plenty of laughs and experimentation. The core mechanics of the melee system are deeply rewarding with lots of room for developing your craft. The sieges are a lot of fun. I just wish there was more interactivity. It breaks me not being able to pick up a chicken, set it alight, and burn your enemies. I always get reminded this is a 4-year-old game, and for some people, that's enough to just stick with Chivalry 2. The archery by this time frame too is not as accomplished as Chivalry. The bow feels much more floaty and there's no arrow cam, which is a game changer for bow enthusiasts coming over from Chivalry 2's beautiful arrow cam feature. I'm enjoying Mordhau. It's a refreshing pace in this genre and a welcome alternative to Chivalry. Competition is always a healthy thing to have, and considering the shitty performance that Chivalry has delivered in recent months, Mordhau has been a polished breath of fresh air. The greatest flaw is the lack of players, and unfortunately, a game lives and dies by its player base. When you experience a full lobby, it's a rare and beautiful thing. I would imagine anyway, because I've never seen one. Hopefully, Mordhau will grow in awareness and thrive, but as things are, it ain't looking good. For me personally, Chivalry 2 is a better game, and a more enjoyable experience as a whole. But Mordhau definitely has a seat at the table and delivers a uniquely realistic fight system that is different enough to keep me interested alongside Chivalry. But that's just what I think. Let me know in the comments what your experience of Mordhau has been like, or if you're considering a purchase. Hopefully this video has helped you to make an informed decision.
Mr. Wolf, I just want to tell you it was a real pleasure watching you work.
Yeah, really, and thank you very much, Mr. Wolf.
If you want to see more of my Mordhau gameplay, check out these two, and I'll hopefully see you there. Until next time, take it easy.